I know I can beat her.
You know you can beat her. Very confident.
I'm very confident.
You say it so easily. Why?
Because I believe it.
Cut right here, if you don't mind. And let me tell you what. What she said it with so much confidence the first time. But if you keep going on and on,
Like I said, we can't keep interrupting. I mean, if you want...
you got to understand that you're dealing with an image of a 14-year-old child. And this child gonna be out there playing when your old ass and me gonna be in the grave. When she say something, we done told you what's happening. You're dealing with a little black kid, and let her be a kid. She done answered it with a lot of confidence. Leave that alone.
What's going on, Rebel family? Today's video, King Richard and the Karen. But before we get to the video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. So, got a chance to getting around to watching the King Richard film starring Will Smith about the life of Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena Williams. And the movie's pretty good. There's not really any spoilers to give because, we know the outcome of the movie. We see the success of the sisters or whatever, and we see the success of the family. So it's not really anything to spoil, but I want to take a look at some of the criticism that it received. And obviously, it's always an attack on the image of the black man, image of the attack of the black male image, particularly a heterosexual black male. He's always under attack. We're always under attack, I should say. But in this case, Richard Williams. But let's jump right into a clip from the Red Table Talk, starring Will Smith took over the Red Table Talk and he interviewed Venus and Serena Williams.
What are the things that you will not tolerate?
Zero,
anymore?
literally nothing. Come for me if you want to. I always say I don't start anything, but please don't start anything with me. And I won't yell and scream, but it'll end. Yeah, no, this girl is... I'm the nicest person in the world, but I just don't like to be disrespected. So, And I think when you're younger, you don't realize that you have those options to say no. And as you grow up and understand more, you're like, I can say no. I actually don't have to take this. It's a wonderful feeling.
That concept of mental health and what actually is the responsibility of athletes in terms of the press. Your father was really ahead of his time.
He was.
There was a video that even before I was going to do the movie, the famous one with no, I'm not going to spring nothing on you. He's like, oh, don't you red table me,
Will.
Will.
We want to leave behind.
No, the one with your father and the reporter when. Oh. Yeah, do we have that video?
I actually have never watched it.
I know I can beat her.
You know you can beat her. Very confident.
I'm very confident.
You say it so easily. Why?
Because I believe it.
Cut right here, if you don't mind. And let me tell you what. What she said it with so much confidence the first time. But if you keep going on and on,
Like I said, we can't keep interrupting. I mean, if you want...
you got to understand that you're dealing with an image of a 14-year-old child. And this child gonna be out there playing when your old ass and me gonna be in the grave. When she say something, we done told you what's happening. You're dealing with a little black kid, and let her be a kid. She done answered it with a lot of confidence. Leave that alone.
I've actually never watched that since that day.
Really?
Okay, so I wanted to bring this in because I wanted to see Venus's reaction to it. She said she never watched it until that day, but you could see her on the side, on the split screen, laughing about it, which was cool. And because she understood, looking back as an adult woman, she understood what was happening now. And now she, understood. Even at the time, you could see a little smirk on young Venus's face, right? And you could tell the white dude was pissed that, okay, this guy keeps popping in and interrupting my interview. You see it, he was real pissed about that. But to see Venus's reaction, it's golden. That clip kind of went viral. It's been around and around, but I always wanted to know how they felt about it. So I'm glad Will did this and got their or at least Venus's reaction. So let's keep going.
Yeah, it was intense.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking,
How did you
gosh,
feel? Like, did you
I'm
feel
thinking,
pressure?
well, I'm gonna just sit here.
Really?
Yeah, and he was badgering me, and he looked like he maybe was enjoying it, but
Yeah, he did actually.
he's like, "But are you confident?"
He's funny.
What's going on, dude? Now at this age, I would understand. Like, I don't have to answer. Be like, dude, move on or not, or I will. Yeah, that's what I would say now. I'm just thinking, yeah, they don't know my dad.
That video, I saw that at a critical parenting point in my life.
Before Will goes on, she said, now she understands as an adult, she can choose not to answer those questions or what have you. See, and this is why his presence was so necessary. Richard Williams, his presence was so necessary. He understood what was happening, and he told the dude, when we told you what's happening, which is funny, but he understood what was going on. So he stopped the guy from badgering her. Say, hey, look, move on. He did what an adult would do in that situation. What Serena said, what Venus said she would do as an adult now, he did for her. And, people hate to see these black men in positions of authority over their children because they understand that these men are going to protect their children. Much like LeVar Ball when he was demonized for trying to protect his sons, right? Same bad rap that Richard Williams got, and we'll see from some of these feminists here going forward. Let's keep going.
If you notice your face,
Yes.
you got a little bit of a smirk,
Right.
right?
She
But
said she
you
knew
have
what was
no
gonna happen.
fear. What?
She said she knew what was gonna happen. They didn't know, but I knew. Like, yo, Pops is getting ready to get. He ain't no joke.
That
so
showed
I love
me.
that. Much respect.
It was
to
like
Richard.
you were a little girl who had a lion, and you don't want to sick your lion on nobody. You want to. I wish we could talk, but if you go too far, my lion will destroy you.
Well, I knew what was gonna happen. Like, I knew what was coming. Like, they didn't know, and they found out. But the best part, I think I kept answering the question is because we had been under pressure before. We had been under pressure in the court. We had been under pressure. My dad made us answer questions like, why does the rich man get richer and the poor man gets poorer? Meanwhile, you're like 5 years old. Right. And you have to answer. You can't say, I don't know. So we were long prepared for the pressures that we would deal with in life before we stepped into these interviews or stepped into a classroom or wherever. You find pressure everywhere in life. So that was kind of a good example, not only of having the protection, but also being ready for the world.
It was such a beautiful thing, and it changed how I related with my children. My father was a lion also, right? But he would bite me every once in a while. And what I saw in your eyes was that you had a lion, but he would never bite you. You had no fear of the lion biting you, right? And I was like, I wanted to be a lion for my children, but I didn't want them to feel that they'd accidentally get swiped sometimes in my rage.
Right.
Yeah, that's dope. Shout out to Will Smith for bringing that perspective in. So let's jump right over to these white feminists who had a problem with the movie focusing on Richard Williams, right? And we saw how necessary, as Venus was saying, he prepared them for the badgering that he knew was going to come. He understood two black girls being in an predominantly all-white sport. The pressure was going to come. So he prepared them very early on, which is great. So first, one of the big ones here, and this thing has gotten way more retweets and likes and so forth, and comments since the day she posted it. I get this. She stated, did they seriously make a film called King Richard about the success of Serena and Venus Williams, but it's about their dad, Richard? And then she goes on to say, I get this has annoyed people, but I genuinely didn't expect a film about two of the most powerful successful, and amazing black female athletes to be named after a man or center on a man. I would have loved this film to be all about them and not a man. That's it, really. Now, we're gonna get into who is Jessica Taylor, whatever her name is, in a second. Here's another one. With all due respect, this film is a prime example of benevolent sexism. To deny that is to uphold it. Another one of their flunkies wrote about Will Smith's latest Oscar bait, King Richard, which frustratingly recast two amazing women's successes as the achievements of their dad. It was a family achievement because it was his vision. The mother, Oracene, she helped enact it or put it into put it into motion, and then even the sisters played a part in helping their younger sisters. So it was a family effort, and this is what these people are missing. But because there was a heterosexual black man at the helm of it all, then it's somehow sexist. They have no agency for black women. Black women can't decide anything on their own. This is the Jessica Taylor and her simp husband, don't wish anything bad to happen to this woman or hate that anything bad happened to her, but apparently this woman, she experienced years and years and years of abuse sexually at the hands of people around her. So or men around her, and this is what warped her male views, which is weird because I wouldn't have expected her to get married. And then she also had a child from that, I think a son. So you can only imagine how that son is being programmed, right? Strong female lead, and obviously we know what's coming next, right? To look at her, we can only describe that guy as a simp for marrying her. Of course, she divorces him and has to go the lesbian route, right? Of course. A couple of haggard-looking white women. Stop blaming women for male violence. This lady's nuts, right? This is who has anything to say about a black family, right? This is who we are dealing with here. These are the people that we have to deal with. And let's jump over into here to Twitter. So this is the initial tweet, right? All right, and from some of the other ones, this lady backed off of it. She said, I was virtually beaten up on Twitter for a comment I made re a certain film produced by two amazing black women. I've learned that despite being a feminist, I have no right to stick my nose into black women's business uninvited because as a white girl, I don't know their truth, right? Should have thought about that beforehand. But it was any chance you get to take a dig at a heterosexual black man, go ahead. That's you have license to do that, right? Here's the other girl, Allegra Frank. It got so bad for her, she just, protected her tweets, right? But this is who we're dealing with, right? The other two were white women. Allegra Frank is obviously a mixed woman, right? I couldn't find who was the white one in the family, right? One of her parents is white, one of them is black, obviously, right? By looking at her, right? She wrote this article for Slate. So I couldn't find out which one it was. Looks like she's booed up with either Asian or white men, as far as I can tell. So she wrote this article on Richard Williams, and this was pretty much a hit. This was pretty much a hit piece. It was to throw some dirt on him because the film really didn't, right? I mean, there was a little piece in the film to where his wife talked about his other kids showing up and she had to deal with all that or whatever, right? So this article made sure to do that, made sure to state how, oh yeah, he married another woman that was only a year older than Venus, and blah blah blah. You know, it's always to throw dirt. Here's another Slate article that tries to state fact or fiction. What's fact or fiction in them? This is how here's how they approach it, right? What's fact or fiction? So I read the whole thing, looking at, so pretty much everything that happened in the movie was pretty accurate, right? They wait and get down to the bottom. So all this stuff was pretty accurate, based on, even on this hit piece, right? All this stuff was pretty accurate. All right. Now, how many children does Richard have anyway? So they made sure that the only dig that they can get into with Richard here was to make sure they quoted one of his other daughters about how he left them. I was 8 when my dad left, and he said he was going to get a bike for me, and that was the last I saw him. My mom told me later that he's never coming back. We went from having everything. He's not a dad, he's just a sperm donor. He had 5 kids and left them for the mom to grow up in poverty. He never once helped, blah, blah, blah. So that's the dig that they had to get in, right? To write that article. So it wasn't just reduced to white women and, you know, mixed women. Hey, our resident psycho chick, Amanda Seals, she parroted the same narrative that, oh, it should have been about the girls. It was about them. And they produced it, right? Look at how hard this chick has hit the wall. She's obviously nuts. I mean, this chick is this is the look of an insane woman here, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, they have no agency, and I'm gonna play this. They have no agency to do what they want to do, right? They don't know any better. All these women, including this Amanda Seals and the quote unquote black ones, half white ones, they know everything. Let's play this clip here.
Wow. What does that feel like?
It's really overwhelming. You know, it never gets old. It's definitely surreal, and it's definitely super, super emotional.
What was interesting for me, that was the most terrifying part. So you both are executive producers of the film, but you withheld whether or not you were going to be executive producers till you saw the film. I was like,
It's a complicated story to
Yes.
tell, and
Yeah.
as you know, my dad is I always say he's before his time, down to just marketing and even just to put us in a sport that was completely a white sport. And then to say that we were going to be the best at it, it was something that no one had ever done before. So, and you know, Hollywood can be, you know, they could get it right or they can get it wrong sometimes. And so, you know, we're a little bit
That's
nervous.
a nice way.
and-
Yeah, that was a
That is a nice way
We
of
wanted our
saying it.
story to make sure
Yeah.
that it would be something that was really.
And we're proud of.
And you did an unbelievable job. How did you feel?
Thank you,
right?
thank you.
And notice she did say our story. She didn't say his story. She said our story. You know what I mean? So these feminists can't stand that, you know, black women can think for themselves. They actually made a choice. They actually made a choice to do the film the way they wanted to, and withheld being executive producers until they saw the film, which is their right. They're like, nah, if y'all got it wrong, we ain't co-signing this. And that's much respect to them. You know, obviously they were raised proper. I mean, you know, people have their digs at them about dealing with white dudes and so forth and so on. And, you know, as far as I can understand, they dealt with black dudes. I don't know whose fault it was why they didn't get married to the black dudes that they dealt with beforehand. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to criticize somebody for who they decide they want to deal with or whatever. That's on them. It doesn't have anything to do with me, right? So I can still respect someone even if that wouldn't have been my choice to marry somebody white or whatever. That's not my choice. But, you know, I can still respect other things that they do and say, right? I respect the move that they made in terms of, hey, we're not co-signing this. unless it's how we want it to be. And that's what you're supposed to do, right? Just some scenes of the family here. But overall the movie was pretty good. I'll give my review now. The movie was pretty good. Will Smith is bad on accents. To me, when I see him, I don't think Richard Williams. He doesn't sound like him, particularly to me. He didn't sound like Richard Williams to me. And the brothers from Louisiana and Will Smith has shown that he's done some bad accents before, I guess, with the Nigerian dude. To me, the one that he most closely sounded like was Muhammad Ali. I thought he did a better job playing Muhammad Ali than he did playing Richard Williams, but that's my opinion. The movie was pretty good overall. Just to see some dynamics or whatever, and to see a black man getting some shine while he's still here, even though everybody has faults. Somebody said the dude is perfect, right? So with the black man, it's, oh well, they didn't bring out all the faults in the movie. Well, do they normally ever do that when they make a movie about a subject, a human being that is obviously flawed? They're gonna make a Lincoln movie and not put in all his racism, right? They're gonna make a 3-4 hour movie about Lincoln and never mention the racism or whatever. But nonetheless, pretty good movie. Get out and see it, especially while it's still holiday time and people are off. You can enjoy your family. It's a good thing to watch with your family and so forth. But overall, much respect to them, all the whole family. Despite whatever people want to say about Richard and him wanting to shine or whatever it is, much respect to them. And unfortunately, they still parrot this narrative. Maybe I'll get around to doing a video about that. Serena Williams is actually not the greatest female tennis player ever. She's not. Well, they'll label her as the greatest tennis player ever, but she's not even the greatest female. That title still belongs to Margaret Court. She's still chasing her. Serena has 23, I think, Grand Slam wins. Margaret Court has 24. And Margaret Court played in a time, I think, to where there were less Grand Slams to win. And she still has 24, and Serena only has 23. So she's still chasing Margaret Court. I might get around and just really chop that up. And, but overall, much respect to them. And, shout out to the family. Peace, Rebel family.